Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Policies and Regulations, and I'll be going over the front runners for the Democratic primary for the U.S. Senate seat for the state of Pennsylvania that's up for election in 2022. Malcolm Kenyatta, age 31. He's currently the state representative for the 181st District of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That district is located in North Philadelphia, and he was elected into that position back in 2018 and reelected in 2020. So anyway, he's a community activist. He was elected a delegate to both the 2016 and 2020 Democratic National Conventions. He was one of the electors elected by the Pennsylvania Democratic Party to vote in the Electoral College back in 2020. He, like most Democrats in Philadelphia, is a progressive, although he did so throw his support behind Joe Biden back in 2020, although most of the people in the city seem to, well, most of the progressives in the city seem to throw their support behind Bernie Sanders. Anyway, he has co-authored or he has co-sponsored bills that would quote include measures that would allocate emergency COVID-19 relief for low-income people, expand early voting, and prohibit law enforcement from using certain military grade equipment. End quote. That's Malcolm Kenyatta. So number 2, we have John Fetterman, age 52, current Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He was elected to become mayor of Braddock back in 2005, 2005. Braddock is in Allegheny County. The city of Pittsburgh is also in Allegheny County. Braddock itself is several miles away from Pittsburgh, so you can know its general location. So he is a progressive, and he endorsed Bernie Sanders back in 2020. He's a quite interesting, or yeah, I'll say quite interesting guy. Or I'll be quoting this website here. He says he supports transitioning from coal and natural gas, but also says doing so too quickly is unacceptable. He spearheaded an effort to eliminate fees for applications to have criminal records cleared and has pushed for more often rent clemency to people who have been stuck in prison for decades. See, he has an interesting history, okay, John Fetterman, with the chamber that he presides over. So in Pennsylvania, the lieutenant governor presides over the Pennsylvania Senate. Yes, he's had two interesting clashes. Once was when the Republicans of the chamber were trying to block a Democrat senator from taking his seat. They refused to seat one of the Democrat senators because the election that he was elected from was won by a close margin, I guess, and the Republican in that race had filed in federal court and all that stuff. In the end, the Democrat senator was able to take his seat after the other Republican, lost in federal court. The second time was when, the other time was when Republicans moved to scuttle a small cash assistance program for poor Pennsylvanians without hearing Democrat amendments. Quote, but after considering one amendment intended to preserve the program for certain domestic violence victims, the Republicans who control the chamber motioned to return to the previous question, a procedural tactic used to ignore amendments on the chamber floor. Then when Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, Democrat who presides over the chamber, tried to pause the vote, the GOP Senate pro tempore Joe Scarnati grabbed the gavel and, amid shouts from Democrats, called for it to proceed. John Fetterman said he had been attempting to find a resolution between the two parties. Anyway, let's see. Number 3, Val Arkoosh, age 61. She's the current chair of the Montgomery County Commissioners. Okay, she was appointed back in January 2015 and elected in November 2015 as a commissioner, and elected to serve as chair in 2016 and re-elected in 2019. Okay, she ran for Congress in the then 15th district of Pennsylvania, which is currently the 2nd district of Pennsylvania, and that was back in 2014. She lost in the primary, and she was a doctor for 2 decades. Let's see. She has put healthcare at the center of her campaign. She has helped raise the minimum wage for Montgomery County workers to $15 per hour and given them 6 weeks of parental leave. Okay. For her constituents, she has helped rebuild critical infrastructure, preserved over 10,000 acres of farmland, restored the county's AAA bond rating, and maintained some of the lowest taxes in the region. Quite good. Very good. Last but not least, we have Conor Lamb, age 37. He's currently the U.S. representative for the 17th Congressional District of Pennsylvania. He is a former Marine, former assistant U.S. attorney. So that was between 2014 and 2017, and he was serving in the Western District of Pennsylvania. I'm going to be quoting from my article here. He won his U.S. House seat back in a 2018 special election, flipping a heavily contested Republican district. He retained this seat just eight months later in the general election, after being drawn into a new district and being forced to run against an incumbent Republican. He was reelected last year. Just one other thing I have to say about Conor Lamb here is that he seems to be more of a moderate Democrat, at least compared to everybody else who's running. He's had a little, I guess what you could say, to a certain extent, a disagreement with the way the progressive wing of the Democratic Party talks about fracking and defund the police. I'll be putting all of the articles and websites that I use as resources in the video description. I'll be putting Pennsylvania voter resources in the description as well, so that people can check, or at least Pennsylvanians can check whether they're registered to vote. And if they're not, they can register to vote, and they can also request mail-in ballots. This is something that you have to do before the 2nd of May of 2022. And that's the last day that you can register to vote. And when it comes to the primary is going to be held on the 17th of May of 2022. Okay, so if you like the video, give it a like. If you dislike the video, give it a dislike. If you want to say anything, put it in the comment section, or you can also add me both on my Twitter and Instagram handles at XterraMage. Go out there, vote, look more into these candidates so that you can formulate a proper opinion and make an educated decision in regards to this voting process. Peace. Have a nice one.